Junk Reanimator versus Bant Control.
I love it, and we have, again, Sylvan Primordial alongside 2 Prime Speakers Aganas.
This card is getting popular, my friends.
Yeah, I know, right? This looks more like a Prime Speaker Bant deck, definitely over Bant Control. We do have Supreme Verdicts, and we have 2 Jace Architects.
Yeah. A card that we have not seen a lot of.
But we do have the Verdicts alongside these Prime Speakers, Arbor Elves, 1 Centaur Healer. So yeah, this is a hybrid between Control and Prime Speaker Bant.
So we see John is starting off very quickly here with a couple Arbor Elves. He does have a Breeding Pool, and he also has a Hallowed Fountain. As we're going to see Emmanuel, he's going to Abrupt Decay one of these Arbor Elves, try to slow him down a little bit here. Emmanuel's deck list, pretty traditional here. He does have 4 Avacyn's Pilgrims, 2 Arbor Elves, and 2 Deathrite Shamans. He's got your Centaur Healers, your Restoration Angels, of course 4 copies of Thragtusk, 3 Angel Serendities, and 2 Crater of Behemoths to go along with 4 Burial Rites, 4 Grizzly Salvage, 3 Mulch, and 3 Lingering Souls. So he's not playing, any of the main deck removal like your Orzhov Charms. That Abrupt Decay that you do see cast is from the sideboard. He does have 4 of those. Other cards, since we are in game 3 here, that we might see: 2 copies of Sever the Bloodline, 3 Acidic Slimes, 2 Obzidats, 2 Rock's Faithbenders, and 2 Deathrite Shamans.
All right, well, on Jonathan's side, he's got some interesting cards. For one, in the main deck, he has this Watery Grave that I couldn't find anything for. It's like, what is this Watery Grave and this Woodland Cemetery for? Also an Overgrown Tomb with the Farseeks, and 2 Alchemist Refuge for flash. But after sideboard, he has a Vereska and 2 Unburial Rites against other control decks, along with another Sylvan Primordial and 2 Luminant Primordials. People are loving their 7-drops these days.
Yeah, Primordials are hitting the scene. Gate Crash having an impact, as we do see a Farseek here from John. Does not search. Actually, he does have Water Grave in play, so maybe we'll see a little Unburial Rites action here.
I think we might either see Unburial Rites, since he does not have any graveyard hate, but we could also see a Vereska.
We don't really see anything too explosive going on here from either player. The Abrupt Decays took care of those Arbor Elves. We see a Farseek being resolved. You see an Azorius Charm recycled, and Emmanuel does just play an Arbor Elf and pass the turn back. So with how powerful these decks are, and the quality of cards they have, pretty weak starts, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I would. John Sweet had to pass, doesn't have an extra card. I see a Dissipate that should get used this turn.
But
unless
Cavern of Souls has something different to say here, as that is on Spirit. That is putting Obsidat into play, and you cannot anticipate that, my friend. And now the Ghost is going to go into hiding.
Yeah. What's the inconsistency of having a hybrid deck? He does have a Prime Speaker in hand, but not enough action to draw any cards. He could play it as the worst Elvish Visionary of all time.
So we do see Obsidat Ghost Council. It is going to come back. It does drain 2 and gain 2, and now we are going to see this guy come across here. The Azorius Charm is going to put that on top. We're going to see Restoration Angel try to do that, but Dissipate says, I don't think so. So Azorius Charm is going to put that back on top of the deck. Dissipate takes care of the Restoration Angel. I have a feeling that our good friend Mr. Ghost Council will be back for a little bit more next turn.
I also have a feeling that if we draw a land, darn, we have that Luminant Primordial, and that would remove the Arbor Elf from play and allow that Prime Speaker to draw some cards and block that Obsidat that's on top of his library.
But instead, we do just see a Farseek here, and you do see Emmanuel slide over those lands as Obsidat is going to come back again. And one thing when you're playing against a blue-white deck, Brad, or just a Hallowed Fountain deck in general, you got to be careful with those Obsidats, as you don't, getting those Azorius Charm isn't the end of the world, but it's certainly annoying when you can just leave it there to drain and gain and drain and gain.
Yeah, you have to make them have it most of the time, as long as you have Cavern on. For most of the decks that I play Obsidat, I don't have Cavern of Souls to protect it. So once I sneak it into play, I'm very scared of getting Azorius Charm. But since he has it on Spirit, I would just make sure that, trade cards.
And now we do see Luminant Primordial from John, the 7-mana 4/7 Vigilance. That does remove a guy here, and it also does a nice job of blocking down the Obsidat Ghost Council. So little haymaker time here in our round 4 feature match.
Yeah. I think the most important thing that card's going to do in this game, though, is create 4 power on the board for that Prime Speaker in his hand.
Going to allow John to maybe come back here. He does need some cards. He only does have 2 left. You see it Dissipate. Looks like a Prime Speaker in his hand right now. So not a lot of action, as we are going to see an Acidic Slime blow up a Watery Grave. So let's see. Does he have enough blue?
Oh, he's got enough blue.
Okay.
He's been digging for those
out there.
And a Breeding Pool.
And now we do see him slam down Prime Speaker Zagana. That's going to get 4 counters. That's going to draw him 5 cards. And now John Sweet is looking to take control. Azorius Charm, Alchemist Refuge, Jace Memory Adept, Supreme Verdict, and another Supreme Verdict. So 5 brand new cards for him. He's going to play a land, and he's going to pass a turn back. Feeling pretty confident.
Yeah, was that a Hallowed Fountain that he played untapped?
That is a Hinterland Harbor.
Sorry, excuse me, yeah. All right, so Obsidian comes back, drains John down to 8, Emmanuel all the way up to 29. Can't really attack with anything. That Acidic Slime will trade with something, and I definitely think if you are Emmanuel, you want to trade one of those permanents off. Restoration Angel is very scary on that board.
And you do see him attacking with Acidic Slime right now. No fear. He's at 29 life, no reason to block. And this puts John Sweet in a little bit of a bad spot here. And he is going to block with Prime Speaker Zagana. When you do have Obsidian attacking your life total indirectly, you know, an Acidic Slime coming across for 2 might not seem like that big of a deal, but it actually is.
Yeah, you have to protect yourself as well as you want to keep that Primordial around because a Restoration Angel will be able to instant speed remove that Obsidian. One of the only lines that John Sweet has to get that off the board.
And so now we are going to see a Restoration Angel here. After blocks are declared, it's going to target that Acidic Slime. That's going to come back. It's going to get to destroy one of these lands, as you see Emmanuel deciding which one needs to go here. Well, John does have a bevy of them.
Yeah. And yeah, they're mostly it's just a land out of the way. I don't think you're going to get any color that matters. Not this deep into the game. Draw step, I don't know what it yielded.
So we're going to see Alchemist's Refuge come into play here. So the land that can give your non-land spells flash is played here. A card that we saw Reed Duke have a lot of success with in December.
That land is so good right now against dealing with Obsidian. I never really thought about that.
Yeah.
It lets your sorcerers interact with it. That's awesome.
So now we do see Obsidian come back. We're going to see Drain 2 and Gain 2. Sweet will go down to 6. Emmanuel will go up to 31. But one thing that Alchemist's Refuge will allow him to do is with that Obsidian trigger on the stack, he can flash into Supreme Verdict.
Mm-hmm. And he can hide a lot of that by just blocking this turn. I think if Emmanuel has any pressure, he's going to get to snag that Supreme Verdict since that Restoration Angel.
And you do see in Emmanuel's hand, he does have a Crater of Behemoth and an 8th land. So is he willing to pull the trigger? That's the question here. Again, we are joining in Game 3 here, so you have to believe that Emmanuel probably saw Supreme Verdict at some point in this match. And so you see he's being very, very cautious. You know, am I supposed to actually play this land, this Crater of Behemoth, and hope my opponent has nothing? That's pretty risky.
Yeah, it is very risky, especially after he just drew 5 cards off of the Prime Speaker Zagana. But no,
and you see he is going to go for
no gamble, no future.
Greater Hoof Behemoth. You see a Supreme Verdict get flashed in. Emmanuel loses absolutely everything. John does lose his Prime Speaker and his Luminant Primordial, but that is a trade he's willing to make, as that is a very good one. And now John with all the cards and Emmanuel with none of them.
Yeah, and he can untap with Jace and Dissipate.
So John Sweet showing you the power of Alchemist's Refuge, and now you do see Jace, Architect of Thought, a card that we'll bring up on the screen for you, as it does reveal a Sylvan Primordial, a Farseek, and a Hinterland Harbor. Jace, Architect of Thought, heavily hyped when it was foil, but it has not really seen that much play.
Oh no, right before the set was released, I did a playtest video with Jerry, and I saw the true power of Jace, and I thought it was going to be an absurd Magic card. The thing is, we didn't know how powerful this format was going to be and how aggressive and how good like Thundermaw was going to be. We did play it in Cincinnati at the Open, and I ended up top 16 losing to the first version of Jun, and Todd Anderson ended up winning with 4 Jace Architect of Thoughts in our deck. It was so good.
And so now we are going to see a Thraxusk off the top here for Emmanuel. We'll get him 5 life, and of course life is certainly not an issue here, and that guy does not have haste, that I promise you.
And he's going to let that resolve, doesn't want to dissipate that.
I feel like, you know, he's probably holding that Dissipate looking for maybe to snag an Unburial Rights. Something that's a little bit more threatening. As Thraktos, he doesn't really care about. The -2 on Jace yet again is going to turn over a Luminant Primordial, a Farseek, and a Forest.
So many powerful spells in his hand.
It's a lot of Primordials.
Yeah.
He also has the Silver one in his hand as well. There you guys do see Luminant Primordial again. Going to put those cards he doesn't take to the bottom. He's going to tap 4 mana right now. It looks like we might see a Supreme... Okay, I thought we might see one, but just another Jace Architect of Thought.
Jace take up, hold Dissipate.
Might be what we see. As you see, John is deciding how he wants to use this Jace as well. And he is going to turn over 3 more cards. It's going to be Restoration Angel, the second Alchemist's Refuge in his deck, and a Breeding Pool.
And he takes the Restoration Angel. Now I feel like, oh, he does have some land drops. All right. So what he is trying to do right now is he's trying to get up to that threshold of having 10 mana. What 10 mana allows him to do is start casting his Primordials and hold Dissipate up. With the Dissipate in hand, he's going to go to 1 life, but he's okay with that since he does have such a powerful hand. I am curious, like, why you wanted the Restoration Angel over those two spells, those two lands, since it would let you for sure get there. But he might just Restoration Angel block right here.
Yeah, it allows him to try to get where he's trying to, what you're describing, get to that 10 mana critical mass point. But he opts for a different line of play, as we're going to see a Azorius Charm here. Looks like he's going to put that Thragtusk on top. Yes, Emmanuel will get a beast, but he does have a fairly irrelevant draw step coming up here now.
Yeah, especially with the power inside of John Sweet's hand. So many powerful spells. Like, you don't see hands without a Sphinx's Revelation that powerful.
Yeah.
Just so many great effects. We have 2 different Primordials, as well as Restoration Angel to blink them.
So now we are going to see a Grizzly salvage here for Emmanuel. One thing you need to keep in mind is that the Dissipate is not available right now. You see a Forest and you see an Alchemist Refuge available. The cards he does turn over, 2 copies of Grizzly Salvage, a Thragtusk, a Acidic Slime, and a Sun Petal Growth. So not the best of Grizzly Salvages there.
And because, I mean, Emmanuel knows both of the threats that are in John's hand, it's sad, but he does just have to go for that Acidic Slime, hoping that once he blows up a land, John has to...
Peeps. That is time in round 5.
So we do see Acidic Slime blow up Alchemist Refuge. John is going to untap. He will draw. Maybe we'll see one of those Primordials come into play here.
I think that other Supreme Verdict is going to get snapped off right now. He likes his Dissipate. We know that he wants it bad.
Did you see him count his mana really quickly there? He does have 8 lands in play. Looks like he has a breeding pool for his draw step. So he certainly has some mana available to him. Can almost get to that flashpoint of being able to play 2 spells in 1 turn, which looks like it's pretty difficult for his deck to do, but once he does actually get there, it seems like it's pretty difficult for him to lose.
So here is that second Supreme Verdict, blowing up Emmanuel's world and allowing John to take up Jace and have 100% control of this game. Emmanuel is in top deck mode with cards that are less powerful in his deck than John has in hand.
Yeah, somehow you rarely find Junk Reanimator have the less powerful top decks available, but when you see John's hand, you see multiple Primordials, you see Dissipate, and you see Restoration Angel, it's hard to argue, but Emmanuel comes back with one of the better cards he can draw right now in Obsidian Ghost Council.
John now is on the aggressive. He doesn't have that much life gain. He has no Thragtusk in hand. That gives him a 2-turn window. John has to do something with the next 2 turns or he is dead.
And now we see John counting his mana. Jace going to -2. John looking for a little bit of help. You see Sphinx's Revelation
well,
among others.
Is dead.
And now John with a big smile on his face saying, yeah, I got there. I got there.
We found the Sphinx's Revelations.
So now you're going to see John play a Sun Petal Grove. You see him slide those 3 lands. Revelation is going to be for what looks to be 7.
That is just enough to, once Emmanuel ends his turn, for John to stay at 4 life.
And so we are going to see Obsidian come back. It's going to knock John down to 2. And now here's an interesting thing here, Brad. What happens if Emmanuel does draw a Restoration Angel this turn? John goes for that big Revelation, Restoration Angel.
Yeah, I mean, I think John could have went upkeep Rev. Yeah. I think that's a play that isn't done enough.
So now you see that Sphinx's Revelation. Does he have Restoration Angel? He does not. So John does dodge the bullet. Revelation for 7 is going to resolve 7 new cards, but more importantly, 7 more life.
That is going to put John up to 9, back down to 4, and definitely something to play around. I think this is, again, playing ahead, not thinking about ways that you can lose. It's so much easier when you have options. You're not considering your opponents.
You know, very focused on the fact that he did draw Sphinx's Revelation to save himself. But if Emmanuel did draw Restoration Angel that turn, that Sphinx's Revelation would have been for naught.
Yeah, two steps that I think players are underusing are your opponent's upkeep to cast cards like Sphinx's Revelation, and at end of combat to cast cards like Azorius Charm. You can sometimes take the damage from a creature to stop any tricks, and then Azorius Charm it and get the effect from it as well.
Something that you rarely do see with Azorius Charm. One of the, what people like to call hidden modes on that card.
Yes.
But now we do see that Obsidian gets in for its damage, and now we are going to see Unburial Rites. That is going to be on Restoration Angel. It is going to blink Obsidian. It's going to put John down to 2.
That's, again, pressure. John has to find the Thragtusk. I didn't see any of the cards he drew, but that is good.
And now you see the power of Obsidian Ghost Council in action. In combination with Cavern of Souls, that's what lets these Junk Reanimator decks be able to beat these blue-based control decks. And you see John's hand, what is he got, 30 cards in his hand right now?
He's got a lot, but do I see a Thragtusk?
Any way to gain life? Does he have Sphinx of Revelation? Does he have Thragtusk?
Did he board them out? That is a card he could have boarded out in this matchup.
He takes up Jace. Emmanuel says, thumbs up, that's fine. You see him set aside 5 mana. He's setting aside some other mana here. 4, there's 5. This smells like a beast from the Middle East.
No, he's slow roll. Is he slow rolling him?
And it is a
Thragtusk.
Thragtusk. All right. So John is going to move up to 7.
Yeah. And with Restoration Angels in hand, this game is out of Emmanuel's grasp. Dissipate still in there.
The game is certainly a lot more difficult for Emmanuel right now. Still does have that Obsidian down, sitting at 42 life, so a lot of turns available to him. Certainly his hand is not as powerful as John's. But, you know, while it is looking difficult for him as John is considering what card to discard, you know, still anybody's game. So John does discard, which signifies he's passing the turn back. Obsidian Ghost Council will come back. The Drain 2, Game 2, up to 44, down to 5 for John.
Yeah. But every single time he casts a Restoration Angel, that is 2.5 times more than the life loss of an Obsidian. So if Emmanuel can have 5 end of turns and upkeeps correct right now, we might see him take this game.
So let's see, you do see Emmanuel taking a look through his graveyard right now. Sees that Burial Rites on the top of it. What can I do with that? As John's been holding that Dissipate forever.
Yes, but there still is a hoof and a dream.
See Emmanuel considering his options here. He does just pass the turn. Oh, no, he does not pass the turn. He's actually going to take a look at John's graveyard here.
Trying to see how many Dissipates he thinks he would still have, see if he used any more earlier in this game. We see 1 Dissipate in the yard. Assuming, how many Dissipates can one player have?
And do I have to worry about a card like Azorius Charm? You know, what cards have I seen in these previous 2 games that you guys haven't seen at home? Those are the things that are running through Emmanuel's mind right now. As he is deep in the tank here in Game 3 of Round 4.
I rarely find it profitable to wait when it comes to situations like this. You just have to go for it.
And you do see him flashing back on Burial Rites, and John says, I don't think so. Dissipate that out of here.
All right. Well, 3 damage comes in. Just with the
Jace trigger. So only attack for 2 here from the Restoration Angel. John, very smart, of course. Remembering that Jace trigger is that has to be a player announced trigger when the attack does happen, based on the new rules.
Or it can be when it's needed, correct?
I mean, it's a little bit. The rules have changed so many times here that I believe that it is a player announced trigger now. As you did see John point to it himself during the attack step. And now he does slide out Obsidian. So again, John down to 3, as we're going to see Luminant Primordial take care of that Restoration Angel.
Now, are we going to see the correct choice of playing Obsidian? So he's going to pass the turn. But, I mean, right now, I don't know if these players are XO, but we still have a lot of tournament, and John is now under the pressure of actually winning this game.
Yep.
There is only 3 minutes left on their clock, and he's got 47 life to deal with, 49 life to deal with. Man, I don't get into these junk games. I think the way that they configure their decks allow them to get these high life totals, but I usually win or die.
And now we are going to see a Thragtusk here from Emmanuel. So if you thought 49 was a lot, Brad, how about 54?
That's a very small percentage increase.
So we will see that Thragtusk occur. Obsidian is going to hide, or at least going to try to hide. And with that trigger on the stack, you're going to see Restoration Angel. That is going to blink the Luminant Primordial, and that's going to take care of the Obsidian. And taking a look over here at Emmanuel's deck list, he only has 2 Obsidians in his deck, in his sideboard. So those are gone as far as outs are concerned. John sitting here at 1. Let's make it 6, he says. Thragtusk is going to come in. He's going to add a 5/3 to the table. Emmanuel's going to need at least 4 spears now. And here comes Thragtusk and Restoration Angel and that Luminant Primordial, which does have Vigilance.
So many options. We have Garrick in hand. We have double Restoration Angel. We still have that Sylvan Primordial that has been there for what seems to be 10 turns.
Yeah. And you see John lean back there, try to get a glimpse of the clock. We can see about underneath 2 minutes here for him to be able to finish this game. Jace ticks up and he does just pass the turn back. He's got to start deploying some of these threats and start attacking like crazy to try to get this game over with, as Emmanuel does draw a card here. Can't make out what either one of those are just yet, but he is going to tap some mana, and we are going to see
an acidic slime.
An acidic slime. And John says, go ahead, pick any one of my lands, I don't mind. So Woodland Cemetery is going to bite the dust.
Yeah, just make sure that black doesn't in there. He doesn't really know what that's for. But it's very interesting to see how John is dealing with this deck with no graveyard interaction. You know, he has his own, and he doesn't fight the fair fight, or he's fighting the fair fight and winning.
And so now we saw at the end of Emmanuel's turn, we saw Restoration Angel, blink the Thragtusk, give him a beast, add 6 points of power to the board, and now you're going to see John come across here in the air. Maybe he'll pound through on the ground as well with those Thragtusks, the Primordial with his Vigilance and the Beast token. So you see, he understands that time is of the essence. I got to get this game over with.
Especially
let's
since
get these things off the board.
Once it goes to him, if combat doesn't get done right here, Emmanuel's going to be turn 1. John's only going to have 2 more attack steps.
Yep.
He has to get this turn done so fast. He's like, beast, beast, play my guy, miss my triggers, go.
Yeah. So you do see here, after damage is going to resolve, you see the acidic slime going to trade here. Thragtusk will happen. Beast tokens will come into play. So Emmanuel, his board is being whittled away by John's creatures. The beast tokens will come in for each player. And now let's see what John has available for him in his second main phase. And that is a Sylvan Primordial. All the Primordials here.
No, I think I'd rather just play all the Restoration Angels. Like, if on that last turn he could have Restoration Angeled his Primordial a couple times, killing the acidic slime, killing something else, and just getting more combat damage in. And so, as we see the players cutting,
we're checking in on turns right now as our clock is fairly accurate, but we want to make sure that our game state is correct for you guys here. We'll see if we are in extra turns. We don't know if either of these players do have a time extension or not, but it looks like Emmanuel is going to be turn 0, turn 2, and turn 4. So John will have turns 1, 3, and 5 to try to deal these 33 points of damage necessary to win.
I do believe it's going to happen.
Yeah, I think 33, as high as that number is doable.
3 attack steps for sure. I mean, especially when you look at his board and he has, what is it, 12... I have to count so high today. But it's 22 points of power on the board right now. 23, excuse me.
So you see Emmanuel separating his lands. Does play a Woodland Cemetery. Let's see if he does have anything, a follow-up play here. It looks like winning this game might be difficult for him, so he might be trying to play for a draw here in extra turns, just trying to stay alive, as a draw is better than a loss at this point.
You do get 1 more point in the Swiss system.
You do. You see him reaching for his graveyard here. Maybe he's drawn in burial rites. We're not quite sure. As he is searching the graveyard, that normally does signify that. He pulls a Thragtusk to the top of the graveyard here. Just 1 or 2 cards in his hand. I'm just trying to figure out what can I do to maybe get a draw out of this one, because I don't know if I can win it anymore.
Crowd surrounding in the background, as you can see. Everyone's excited to see this crazy Primordial Bant deck.
And now we do see on burial rites, as John is representing Dissipate.
Oh, wow. It is not lethal, but a flashback might be later. That Primordial actually saved him from going like Restoration Hoof and getting double trigger. So that's going to give him a little bit more life. And he's going to have to pass the turn. I can see that card making you think for a while.
Yeah. So in burial rites, let's get back a Thragtusk. You see the die on the screen there for you guys. So we are in turn 1. John Swift's turn. Untaps his entire army, untaps all those lands, draws a card. Sphinx's Revelation is the draw for him right now, so he can certainly pad his life total if he deems that necessary.
One of the more interesting things that he can do is Emmanuel only has 1 more white source for that flashback. He can blink the Primordial and deal with it.
Yeah. Let's see if he does see that line of play. He can take out that Sun Petal Grove, as Brad did mention, to shut off the back end of that Unburial Rites.
And he doesn't have to worry about any Acidic Slime, Death Touch getting in the way of that Primordial. It is just a big 6 power that cannot be stopped by Emmanuel's board unless he double blocks it, which then, you know, forces through a lot of damage.
And one thing John does have to be conscious of, outside of that play that you just brought up, is, of course, there is a Cranial Behemoth in the graveyard. And there's some Drill Rights there as well, so there could be a lot of damage coming here soon.
That is very true, but I think he has enough tools to deal with it. Emmanuel is very crippled right now. Hoof can do a lot of amazing things, but it can't get you out of all these situations. Not when your opponent has had 20 turns to set up. All right, he's taken all of that damage, and John sees it. Blink,
Primordial Angel here.
He knows how it
Sun
works.
Petal Grove out of my office, and he is going to search for a forest card as well.
I want all the live top decks.
So he does find an Overgrown Tomb. And now we will see if Emmanuel is able to top deck a white source, or perhaps something even better than that.
It still will not be enough. It will only be about 22 damage, and he's got enough defenses for that with being 8 toughness and 4 toughness.
And he does just pass the turn back, thus sweet. So Emmanuel is going to draw a card. Let's see what he finds. He finds an Abrupt Decay. One of the poorer draws in his deck right now, I'd like to
Yeah. When your opponent's Restoration Angel and Primordials, I don't think you want to be trying to Abrupt Decay.
I think I agree with you.
John, to add more pressure to the board, adds 2 Restoration Angels, or a 4th Restoration Angel. So now we have had the 4-of-a-kind Thragtusk and the 4-of-a-kind Restoration Angel in today's tournament.
You gotta be a happy camper about that.
It's pretty sweet.
As we do see Restoration Angels, Beast Tokens coming in, all that good stuff. Emmanuel with 15 life, and I think, Brad, this attack is probably gonna get it
And
done.
this just makes me sad because after this attack on damage on the stack, I would love to see John put a big Sphinx's Rev on there. Just to say, look what my deck can do. The only thing that's sad is there are no Verdant Havens in the Sweet Bank Control list.
That's true. As we do see all of this, all of the math being done here by John, just wants to make sure, do I have enough damage to kind of get this through? You only got like a card in your hand. All right, how about I turn on my guy sideways?
This
Let's
is
see if
still
this
only
is going to
turn
be
3,
good.
right?
Yeah, this is turn 3 of extra turns.
Yeah, we got another turn.
You're going to see Abrupt Decay take care of that, and you're going to see a handshake. So John Sweet does win,
There's the
as several bloodline
There's a Sever on top.
maybe would have changed some things, but he did not find it in time. So John Sweet with his bank control deck with all of the Primordials from Gatecrash does win 2-1 over Emmanuel playing Junk Reanimator.
Yeah, well that was a pretty sweet deck. John Sweet, you got a sweet one, and I think your name is pretty rad too.
So we will cut back to the booth here momentarily.